Welcome back. In this lecture, you're going to learn something known as A/B testing, also referred to as split testing. It is the most effective way for us to optimize all of our ads, and it's basically a way to lower our advertising costs and increasing the performance. Starting now, and so it's something that you want to do for all of the future that you'll be creating ads on Facebook. So naturally, you're wondering, what is it? Well, an A/B test is basically changing one variable in an ad and see which one is performing the best. So for example, we already created an ad, right? And we found an audience of about 470,000 people. Now the placement we chose for that ad was in the Facebook newsfeed. What we could do is an A/B test where test A is in the Facebook newsfeed and B is in the Facebook stories. Then we could put those side by side and see which one has a lower cost and which one is simply performing better, which one has more conversion, more return on ad spend, etc., etc. So when we put these ones side by side and look at which one has the best results, that is known as an A/B test or a split test. And it is super important that we learn how to do them and that we continue doing them starting now and in all of the future, right? So you could change many things. You could, for example, have an ad design A/B test, and you could have different images to see which one works the best, or different videos, or different headlines, or different descriptions, etc. The key with effective split test or A/B test, the absolute key is to only change one variable. No excuse. It doesn't matter how good you are, doesn't matter how much money you have. Unless you change just one variable, you're never going to know what change it was that made the improvement. And we always want the data to know which improvement that actually made the ad set or the ad design or the campaign better, right? If we know that a certain age has a better result, then we want to know that it is a certain age. But if we change the placement, the age, and also the design, and we get a better result, we don't know which one of the changes caused that improved result. So always only change one variable. But without further ado, let's dive in and learn how to do that. So we're going to learn a couple of different ways. Starting off, I'm going to show you how to create a split test from the very second that you're creating a new ad, all right? So we're going to start off here and click on the create button right here. And as we are creating, and it doesn't matter if you're creating in the quick creation mode or if you're using the guided, but starting from now on, we're probably going to want to be using the quick creation, right? So all you need to do at this point is that you click on the A/B test right here. So let's say that we click on the A/B test, then we are going to get the question, what is it that you want to test? So we could test the creative. The creative is the design. Design and creative are synonyms. I prefer to call it design, but it's also known as creative. We could test the delivery optimization. Do we want to optimize for landing page or do we want to optimize for link clicks, right? We could test A/B test the audience, and we could A/B test the placement. We could also do more than one, but we should never, ever do that. All right? Very important, because otherwise we're not getting solid data. So there's also hierarchy on what you want to split test first. And the first thing that you always want to split test, pretty much all of the cases, is going to be the audience, because your audience is key for you to actually get good results with your ads. Now, the second thing that in most cases you're going to want to split test is your ad design or your ad creative, right? Very important to know. So starting off, we're going to split test our audience. I'm just going to choose the audience here, and I'm going to give this a campaign. Just for this sake, I'm just going to call it test, right? It's going to be auction. We're going to go for traffic. Nothing special. This is just to show the split testing. And then we're going to have the ad set, right? So of course, we could just call this test 1, and test 2, right? Because we're going to be able to change these names later on as we're doing our optimization. So unless you already know how you're going to be targeting, well, then it doesn't really matter what name you put in. But if you already know exactly what you're going to be targeting, you might want to write that in. So for example, if you're testing optimization, you want to call one landing page, the ad set number 1 landing page, and the ad set number 2, you would probably want to call link clicks, all right? But for now, we're just going to call it test 1 and test 2, and then save to draft. So now we're gonna end up in here, right? And we've done this before, we've set up ads before, nothing special. So I wanna show you specifically how to make split tests, and we're not gonna go through all of the hassle of creating new ads, right? So the first thing you wanna do when you're doing a split test, right, is that you want to move into the ad set, because we're going to be moving into the part that we're going to be testing. And also, we've already set up and decided on our campaign. So the first thing that I'm going to do as I've clicked into this ad set is that I'm going to scroll all the way down, because here it says want to make changes to your A/B test. And then we can do something known as select all ad sets. This is so important because now I've selected both of the ad sets. So that means that now I could set up both ad sets at the same time. So let's say I want to do traffic, I want to do a daily budget of $40. We're going to go through this in just a second. And then I would do my audience, you know, let's just quickly write in people in this location, and then United States. There we go, I'm gonna target that one. So now we're targeting people living in the United States. That's quite a lot of people. But the key point here is that now we're setting this up on both of the ad sets. So that means that I could do the gender, I could do the age, I could do my detailed targeting, blah, 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 and set everything up the way I want to. I can even do my placements here, set them up at the same as well. I'm gonna remove these like this. Scrolling down, removing these ones, right? So now making sure that I only have the Facebook news feed. Remember, I'm still working on both of the tests. And then once I've set everything up, well, then I could change the thing that I really want to change. So for example, if I wanted to test one audience for a long distance relationship and I wanted to do another audience that had a short distance relationship, well, once I've set all of these key things up, then I would just click on one and do that change. Or let's say that I wanted to test men against women. So then I would just do, let's say I'm gonna do 18 to 65. Well, what I could do is that I could click into test number 1, and I could click on men and click on test number 2 and select women. So now we have changed one thing, right? We've set everything up when we had them both selected, and then we changed one thing, and that means that we can proceed on to the ad design, or the ad creative, if you will. So I'm gonna click on here because that takes us to the ad design level. Now I wanna do the very same thing, right? I wanna scroll all of the way down and then click on select all ads right away, because that means that I'm setting both these up equally. Remember, we only change one variable ever, and we already changed that variable in here, right? So that means there's nothing that we're going to be changing here. Nothing at all right? So with that said, I'm gonna go down, I'm just gonna type in youtube.com, because I'm not actually gonna publish this, right? I just wanna show you the way this is going to look like. Let's say I set everything up and I was super happy with it, and of course, I would also have changed the name on the ad sets and on the ad creatives and everything. Very important. Now, before I click on publish and actually show you the way this looks like, I wanna draw your attention to one thing that is actually different when it comes to doing an A/B test. So if you click up here, you can say that there's something known as A/B test budget and schedule. So basically, there's a daily budget, that's nothing new, but what's new is that there is a split in here, right? So we're going to create an ad set A and an ad set B, because we chose an ad set A and an ad set B. One has men, one has women, and we want to see which one that is going to be performing the best. That is the A/B split that we're doing right here to see the results. So there's a couple of things we can change. We can change if we want a lifetime or daily. That's nothing new. But what is new is the estimated test power. Basically, this is one of those Facebook traps. Facebook wants you to spend as much money as possible. So of course it's gonna say, oh, you wanna probably be above 80% and preferably around 95% in order to have, you know, an effective split test. That is not true. These are just Facebook estimates. So Facebook wants you to spend $41 a day on this split test. That is 20.5 for A, 20.5 for B. We don't want to spend that much money, right? So what we would need to do is just set these down. We could do 10, and then we could do another 10. There we go. So that means now that we have $10 each. So of course the estimated test power goes down. It is also true that it does, because the bigger of a budget you have, the more data you're getting, the more accurate it's gonna be. But don't be scared when this goes to 70 or below, because you're still gonna have some solid data that's gonna have indications to which one is the better performing, right? You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars to do an effective split test. No, not at all. You can put this down to $5 each and you would still have solid data to which one works the best, right? So once everything is set up, all you would do is go ahead down to the right. My head is in the way, but it says publish right there, and I'm going to click on publish. So now the first ad set has been published. I'm gonna move on to the next one and publish that one as well. We could also have gone to the bottom and selected all ad sets and click publish, but I didn't. Not very important. I'm gonna click on publish for this one as well. So we just published it. Now I'm gonna collapse this one right up here. There we go. And now we can see that we have created an A/B test here. Now, of course, it's gonna be invalid because we didn't set it up properly. But what you're going to be noticing here is that if you go to campaigns, right? And I'm gonna turn this one off, by the way, because I don't want to spend $41 a day on this one, or 20, I think we said. Is that it's gonna have this little icon. This campaign is a part of a test, and this is one of those things that really shows that you're doing split testing, and it's very simple to have a look at those results simply by clicking in on them, and then we can see here are the two tests, and we would be able to see which one that is performing the best. Basically, we're testing them back to back. And having properly set names, this is going to be invaluable information to see which one is performing the best. Is it for men or is it for women? And once you have this information, well, then you know that, okay, I'm gonna go for men, right? Because we know that targeting men is better. Well, next thing you might wanna split test the age, right? We split test age. We see, oh, well, we did, let's say 5 different ages, and we saw that between 20 and 25 was the best. So we're going to keep that one. And then we split test the detailed targeting, and then we're gonna split test the different images for the ad designs. This goes on and on and on, and your result and optimizations goes up and up and up. And that's the idea of A/B testing. We're always looking to lower our cost and improving our results. Those usually go hand in hand, right? So that is one way to create a split test when you're creating a new campaign or creating a new ad overall. So what you could also do is, remember, now we have this selected, so we're only seeing that, is that we could go into our original, right? By clicking here, it says traffic right there, and now we're only going to see this ad set that we created originally. Well, say that we want to do a split test in here, right? So what we would do is that we would select this one, just like this, and then click on A/B test in here. So we could go ahead and do a split test on the ad set level rather than starting a new campaign. So I'm gonna click on A/B test here. And then we're gonna have to select a campaign. We only have one, so that's easy. And then a variable. Do we wanna split test image? If so, then you're gonna have to select the ad design that you wanna split test. But if you choose something else like age and gender, for example, well, then you're gonna have to select the ad set that you wanna split test. What you could also do, of course, is that you could compare existing campaigns, just like this. So if you have multiple campaigns, you could just do test and compare that with traffic, for example, but we're not gonna do that. We're going to be using this one, the traffic one, and we are going to use age and gender here, right? And we're going to select this one, and then it says creating 2 new campaigns for your test. So basically what this is going to do is that you'll get new campaigns where you can see which one is performing the best. Because if you were to use the existing campaign, there is already data in there, and that would ruin your understanding of the new data that's coming in. So you need new campaigns in order to understand, okay, which one is performing the best, and seeing them back by back. So I'm gonna click on continue to experiment. Remember, we've chosen age and gender here. You could also do custom if you wanna do, for example, detailed targeting, because you see detailed targeting isn't in here. But we're gonna do age and gender and click on continue to experiment. So it's gonna open a new tab, interestingly, and we're going to get to a part of Facebook known as experiments, right? It's a slightly different part from the ads manager, but they still go kind of hand in hand. So what we have here is a version A, and we have a version B, right? So version A is control, that is the basic ad set that we have, and version B is the variant, where we have changed one thing in it. So as you can see, the only thing that we can really change here is the name. We have version A and we have version B. We want to change that name. But this is locked. All of this good stuff is locked because we chose age and gender. And we only want to change one thing. Remember, we don't want to go men and then change the gender. We have the age 22 to 40. So if we want to play and do an A/B test with the gender, then what we would have to do is put this one at 22 to 40, just like that. And then let's say that we target men, because now we're targeting the same age and we've just changed the gender. In the original, we're targeting both. But what we're going to do is we're going to stick to all gender, and we're just going to do a different age targeting. So let's say that we try 16 to 21 instead, just to see where this leads. Remember, it's an interesting product, couples distance bracelets. So I'm just going to change to that gender, which is going to be very different from 22 to 40. And then I'm going to create test. Now you could, of course, do 16 to 40. That's absolutely fine. And then click on create test. And then this is going to load for a while. This usually takes a little bit. And then here we are. So as you can see, we're in a different part of Facebook right now. It's called experiments. So we can see the ones that are scheduled because we didn't really change that, but there is a start and an end date in there, right? And you can see the report of those ones. Now I've also canceled some before, so these are not going to be on your screen. I just pre-created a couple in order to optimize my teaching of this as well. So it's going to say new for you here. If you just created one, you can click in on it to see the way that it looks. You can see the results, you can see the test details. All of that good stuff is going to be in here once it started and once it started to collect some information. And the way to go to this place is simply to go here in business tools, and you scroll down and you have experiments. But this is not important. This is absolutely not mandatory. What you can do is scroll up, go back to ads manager. And then in here, we're going to have two new campaigns. We're going to have version A and we're going to have version B, right? I'm going to turn these up, by the way. And what we will be able to see is just back to back how they are performing. Now, remember, we're split testing the ad set. So if I click on version B here, and now I'll go in here, it's going to have this ad set, of course, but also it's going to have all of these different ad designs, right? That's very important to remember. So that means that when you are looking at the campaign level, we're going to be getting the collected information from the two. So that means that when we're looking at the campaigns, we are going to get to see an overview of which one that is simply performing the best. And this is very important information because this is going to help us understand in which direction we want to optimize for. So all we need to do later on is just leave this going for a little bit and then look at the results, look at the reach, look at the cost per result, look at how much you're spending depending on the targeting that you change, the link clicks you're going, the cost per landing page view, or if you had link clicks, what those were, or if you're tracking conversions, how much you're actually selling for. This is split testing, and it is the most important thing you can do. Never stop split testing, and make sure that as soon as you publish anything, there's always something that is worth split testing and optimizing towards. Never go without this. So once again, there are two different ways that you can do this. You can either do it whenever you're creating a new one by clicking here, or you could split test the ones that you have, right? All you need to do is go ahead and select the one you want to split test, and then you click on split test. Now you can split test on one that is already in a split test, but this one. And then you click on A/B test here, A/B test, split test being the same, and then you create that split test, and then you simply let all of the results come in, right? Very important, always make sure you do this. Now, if you want to change the detailed targeting, then do this, select the variable, click on custom, and then click next. And what's going to happen then is that it's going to look much more like you're creating a new campaign overall. So all you need to do is set those up together, change that one thing you're looking to change when it comes to your detailed targeting. For example, we could maybe change the marriage exclusion that we had in ours and see which one is performing the best. All right, so split testing, it's quite the thing. There's a lot to learn about it. Have fun with it. Just make sure that you always do it, right? Even when you're publishing your very first ad, there's always something to split test. And the hierarchy is, first of all, split test your audience. And once you have a good audience with good results, or at least you've optimized as far as you're able to, then start split testing your ad designs. Remember, we are already split testing our ad designs because we put out multiple. This is what you want to be doing as well. Hope you enjoyed this lecture on A/B testing, split testing. See you in the next lecture.